good.
All right. Hey, Tyler, we're back.
Bye, baby.
Another edition of dSIPRouter Weekly. So, how
Here
you
we
doing
are.
this week? How you doing this week, man?
Doing all right. Doing all right. It's been a slow week here, actually. Been working on a lot of different things. I think we'll kind of jump into that. How's your week been so far?
It's been good so far. So, yeah, a lot of stuff working on, a lot of proposals. A lot of people want to leverage dSIPRouter in different situations. I created a video this week on how to change the elastic IP on AWS, and dSIPRouter magically handles that without a problem. So thank you for your work there, because that is all you're doing. So um, that was one of the things I did this week. But I guess what I'm super excited about, more importantly, is that we have Chelsea coming on board. We did our meeting today. So for those who don't know, we're kind of coming up with a workflow for our QA process. And so we have our first QA engineer starting. Her name is Chelsea, and she's going to help streamline that process, because Tyler and I are just extremely too busy to do it justice. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it ends up. So that's something that we start iterating on the process here and starting to make the stability a little bit better. But in the future, it'd be nice to see where it ends up. The ICD integrations and automated testing. It's more end-to-end testing as well. So we'll see what she cooks up. I have high expectations.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea, I've worked with her in the past and on other startups and things of that nature. So she's solid, and you guys went to the same university, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, but you're right. I mean,
University, Bulldogs.
Kettering, shout out to Kettering, yes, for sure. I think the biggest thing I'm excited is for her to get used to the product. And sometimes when people want to we get a lot of people who say, hey, they're having problems with the product and things of that nature. It's going to be when we get to the point where she's able to understand the product well enough where she'll be like, okay, no, that's a user error versus this is how the product should work, versus, oh, there's a bug that we need to handle. So I'm just excited for that whole loop to be iterated on and for it to get better, because I think it's going to make the overall product better.
Yeah, I agree. You guys can take time as well, and we do a pretty good job of adjusting that. But I think for the most part, it's what we get the top tier issues usually get handled right away, and then the ones below it kind of up in the air when they're going to get not really good like structure to oh, this is tier 2, these are going to be planned for this time frame. So kind of, yeah, we've been doing the tagging a little bit with some of our issues as they come in and be like, oh, well, this one will kind of plan it for that release. But it'll be nice to have somebody dedicated to handling that and helping us get those organized. It's a lot,
Yeah, it's a lot. And we have a backlog of old stuff too that we'll clear out as well. So yeah, man, I'm really optimistic on like this whole thing. And then I think the other thing is just getting our our support, making it more available, I guess, for lack of better words, because we have some customers that want to do some different support type of things. They want to do upgrades. This is just normal stuff that we do in a progression of a product, is where now people are like, hey, I'm on an old release of dSIPRouter. We need to get off of it. So we need to get that off of your plate and then onto someone else. So that's the next place where we'll be growing around, explicitly around somebody who can handle upgrades and things of those nature for us, because those can get pretty tedious especially for people, and as you
Mhm.
know, we've talked about,
Yep.
who have like really old versions of dSIPRouter and like on the
Mhm.
6 series, or that becomes that becomes a big challenge for us. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that one is it's hard because when you're talking about migrating to a new version, it's easy if you just wipe all your data. But if you have all the old structures and all the old data, make some custom changes, all that stuff kind of compounds. You have to know every system that changed. So if you do a
Yeah,
diff, you
yeah,
see maybe every subsystem changed, or maybe half of them did. That
right.
could be 20K lines, 50K lines. It could be a lot of different things that got touched, especially in between like 10 different versions. Because a lot of people they'll use it for their purpose, and if it's working great, they'll keep on using it.
They
And
don't touch
then
it.
when it's
They don't
yeah,
touch it.
unless
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I need this new feature, or I need this new bug fix, I need this specific
Hmm.
thing. Yep, they're gonna stay on that version, and I totally get that. Especially as the stability has been, in the past, kind of a little bit more variable. I totally get that. And then people have to test out, take time for their company to test things out. Look at like CentOS and RHEL migrations. Just for people that even wanted to go to RHEL, that's a huge migration, especially if you have 1,000 different servers with it.
Right. It becomes a lot, right? So it's yeah, I mean, I think that we've been doing our best to keep up with it, but the thing that's probably the biggest thing that, and I think people recognize this now, but one of the things that we do, we just make it easier to install a number of different components that make up a VoIP infrastructure, from RTPEngine to um, the Camilio to the database. Um, I think that the biggest issue is that it takes a lot of energy to do that, especially when when the OS changes, or or something like that happens. It
Mhm.
becomes like it's difficult, right, for us to um, allocate the right time in a lot of cases to get things up and going. Like when a new version of Red Hat comes out, or Debian comes out, there's so much change that happens in these OSs now, that it takes us a release or so to get to the point where we're stable again. So I want to figure out how to how to rectify that. I mean, I have a couple ideas, but like it's like even if we don't want to, we have to be in the business of like packaging and understanding the OS versions and what their next release is gonna be. Like, I feel like we need to have a person that's all they do almost. Like at some point, that's like after we get to a point where we have the support person that can handle upgrades, I almost feel like you need somebody who's like watching these OSs and watching the Python dependencies. Like, it's a lot, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just
dependency
rambling here.
management is it's always a pain, especially when we have multiple different systems and subsystems. So we have some system dependencies. We have some dependencies that are isolated to like a virtual environment, which is great, but not all of them can be. You have system tools. CLI uses a bunch of different system tools that have to be the right version. Um,
Right.
OpenSSL, that was one. And yeah, I don't know. It's just managing that for several OS versions, and there's still patch updates and minor releases coming out for these different OS. There's always something. We had that recent bug where that was Debian 12. I think this Debian 12 and 11. They had an update. I can't even remember what package it was at this moment in time, but they had an update to a package that broke one of our Python builds. So we had this
Yes.
Python library, and it was a separate dependency, but it got
Yep.
compiled when it pip installed, and the system dependency broke it. So dial blue.
Eh, yeah,
One
and
day
and
stopped
we
building.
yeah, it took us a minute to kind of figure out, um, to figure out what happened. Um, because like it was weird because it was like one of those situations where it was hard for us to kind of track down where the issue was. And I'm just glad that we were able to really figure it out. But yeah, I mean, like those things though take a lot of energy away from what we really want to do. And I think this is like,
Hmm.
I don't know, I think this is like one of the big issues with running an open source project is like, um, people don't, people be like, oh my God, you guys, I mean, nobody really says, oh my God, like you guys like charge for what you do. But that's really where a lot of the money and energy goes to is just really the packaging, testing, validating that things work. And I just think sometimes people don't, they underestimate the amount of effort and time that goes into.
Yeah, some of that, we have started looking into packaging, but we just we haven't invested the time into it yet. We've been looking at other bug fixes and things that we're putting priority on. But I think that would help relieve a little bit some of these issues. But you're not going to get away from the dependency of hell. And by that, what I mean is, even if we had a dev package, an RPM, Flatpak, you can pin it to some version, but that could conflict with some other system package or something else on the system still. And that's we've seen that a few times already. So I wish there was
Yeah.
like a better package ecosystem or just a better way of managing these dependencies. Flatpak has a really cool like way of installing specific libraries that are isolated. So you could have multiple versions of your like build libraries or whatever, or your runtime library. So I
Yeah. I
think
mean,
that's something to look into. I think Flatpak might be a good solution in the future. But then you also have this new thing to maintain. So it's another thing that you're maintaining instead of us just saying pointing you guys, at the repo saying, "Hey, here's the build instructions." So there's
right. Yeah.
advantages, disadvantages.
Yeah. Yeah. Just trying to figure out the best way to do those things. Like, and I mean, a lot of these packages are open source, so they have the same issue in regards to like nobody's necessarily paying them to do these, especially the low level libraries. I think they probably have it the worst, right? Because these low level libraries,
Hmm.
there's really no monetization strategy except for maybe street cred, right? And it's you know, I feel bad for them. We got, I don't know. I think we got to do something to figure out how to make it a more cohesive ecosystem. But I know that's a totally different conversation. But I think like moving forward for what we want to do, and talk about this release, for example, the upcoming release, I think we kind of consider this is to be the paper cut release. This is the release
Hmm.
where we are going to fix a lot of issues that people have been complaining about for a while. And I'm excited about that because we have a lot of things like the GUI right now. Half of it is in this, it basically has APIs underneath of it. And then some of it doesn't have, it's just a straight, form submission right in the back end. So,
Hmm.
um, this will be good for us to get to the point where, I'm not saying we're going to solve everything doing this paper cut release, but we'll hopefully get to a point where we are almost everything has the API underneath, in particular like outbound routes, for example. Um, we probably want to have a API to support that because I think that's one of the only ones that we don't have an API for. Because people I think want, they want the whole process, right? They want to be able to set everything up from an API. But believe it or not,
Yep.
like, I don't, a lot of people don't, like, I don't know, man. I don't think a lot of people are using the API to its fullest because I don't get a lot of questions about, well, how do I do this in API? Unless the documentation is so good that they don't need us.
I would love to think that that's the solution. There is that our documentation is
Yeah.
just so immaculate that
Mhm.
that nobody has any questions or issues that they're working on. But yeah, we're we're trying to keep feature parity with the UI there. And for I guess for some background on like how this development went, when we were creating the different features in the UI, me, Mac, and the other members of the team, we all try out different solutions, and the one that stuck is what we stuck with. Well, eventually we accrued a couple different solutions that we were still like deciding on, and that just became technical debt. Both solutions work, obviously you see them in the UI, but we're trying to standardize that now and get it down into like a single, like cohesive pipeline.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the thing, right? We'll get there. It's just taking a little bit more time than what we want, but it's it's just the nature of the beast. The other thing that I'm excited about is the fact that I think by having Chelsea on board here, it will free us up and start thinking about like some of the ways that people want to deploy, um, dSIPRouter and Camilio underneath. Like one of the things that like a big paper cut, which you're not going to solve in this release, just to be clear, is that the interfaces, like dealing with multiple interfaces and things of that nature. As we were at, I think KlueCon, and I may have seen it at Camilio World as well, but definitely at KlueCon. Now in Camilio, you can kind of label your interfaces, and then you can say, this is your internal interface, this is your external interface, and then you can say, send this out your internal, send it out the external. So, I think, down the road, I think the thing maybe we want to do here is be able to say, all right, here goes a list of all your interfaces. You on the box, you tag them as internal, external, or whatever we support. And then that way it'll allow people to be able to have a little bit more flexibility on what interfaces they use for what, versus us having to go and set some things manually. So that is one of the things I'm kind of excited about that I think at some point we'll be able to get to.
Yeah, I've had some thoughts about that in the past. That the newer features that they put on, like the listening, I guess syntax and core part of Camilio is actually really nice. The interface naming, the virtual tag, I guess you call it, the virtual specifier on the interfaces. All those are features that we haven't really tested into too much yet. I would love to be able to have that configurable where you can just say, hey, these endpoints are on, this interface. So automatically, in the routing, it'll just go out that interface. Then you can have all your VLANs that you want, whether that's 4 or 5 VLANs or just your external, internal, or like a DMC in the middle, whatever the case.
Yeah,
I think it could be more configurable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is, kind of getting it to a point where it's really configurable. And, we don't have to do all kind of magic, behind the scenes in order to get it to work is a thing that I want to get figured out too. But no, I mean, this is what we're, kind of figuring out, right? And kind of changing things in order to fit around it. So, I know people who are like listening to this, part of this whole reason why we do this podcast is that I want people to understand who we are, what we're thinking about, what's the things that make us tick. Because I mean, at the end of the day, people can do a lot of what we do themselves, but we're hoping that your people are seeing the value that we put in this and the amount of energy and care that we have for this project and how we want to make it easier for people to use Camilio. So that's part of this whole thing that we're doing here. So hopefully people get that, from this podcast.
Yeah, I think this is the opportunity, and a lot of people I think are going to be watching this afterwards. To leave a comment on the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
ping us in the I guess some Slack. Let us know your comments afterwards if there's something that speaks to you during any of these weekly devlogs. I did
Yeah.
have a small demo to go through today.
Okay,
as
cool.
Well. Yeah,
Okay,
some of this
cool.
is show and tell. You know, we kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
But I do have a little bit demo on external RTPEngine connection, which is
Oh, sweet.
yeah,
This,
cool new feature that we're getting integrated right now. That's already done in a PR. I'm actually gonna share my screen here.
yeah, go for
We'll
it.
get some dangerous demos going.
Yeah, do it, man.
All right, let's see. So I got over here a dSIPRouter box. I'm actually just going to show the UI. So I gotta remember how I was going to do this. Yeah. So I'll grab that generated password demo server. Refresh it so it gets a new token. It's the dangerous part of the demos.
I love
Go
it.
ahead, reset it. All right, pop a new one in there. Okay, so on here, I'm just going to show really quickly. All I have set up is carrier group. This is going to be acting as one of my phones. So I have dSIPRouter over here, and go over to testing. See, I have it over there. It's just going to come in and act as a carrier. So it'll see that as a carrier when I send a call to it. We'll go ahead and find it again. Select it. And then we can also see over here, I have an endpoint group that matters right here. And then this is the same thing. It's just a different port, which is going to be corresponding to this phone. It's going to be coming from it's going to be listening at 5160. And all I have here is an inbound route, mapping it over there. Really, really simple. A lot of y'all know about that. The difference here is that on this box, we have now, and this isn't in the UI yet, so this is something that you do on install. I'll show you guys the CLI options and everything, but first I'll just show you where this gets set. It gets set in settings. Settings.py is kind of the source of truth for all of our settings here. The RTPEngine URI, that gets pushed down into, that'll basically change where it's looking for RTPEngine, not only in the routing config, but it may also, if it's remote, it'll disable the local service and then just use instead of consuming those resources, just connect remotely. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little quick call and show that connecting. I have to do sgrep-r actually, make sure I get it. So we got this box that's the dSIPRouter instance, and then this remote one. I help to show the IPs really quick. See, this is just another box with RTPEngine that's listening externally.
Yep.
So if I send a call from dSIPRouter over here to the dSIPRouter, that's the proxy right over here, and see what number I used. I think this is like 0 through 9, 1 through 0. That's the number that this phone has. If I send a call there, testing 1, 2, 3, and we can hear send a call. I'll bring up the RTP. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not going to see the RTP here. We're going to see it on this guy.
Yep.
Apparently not in dSIPRouter, but if we come over here to our SDP,
Yeah, you probably be able to see it in the SDP because you probably won't because there's not a live call going through. So yeah, see there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can see it's getting sent to the other one. We obviously heard the audio. I don't know if that came through on the stream,
It didn't,
but
but we believe you. We believe you. Yes, for sure.
yeah.
We
I think
believe you.
a better way to demonstrate this might be to listen on like the HEP port. I think you'll still get all that in the HEP packets. Might be able to see it even without the signaling. But yeah,
Yeah.
see it
I mean,
going to that other instance with that RTPEngine. Could be scaled out. Could be another BP server, and now you have less processing on that single Chameleon.
That's cool.
And
is this a setting that happens? Is this a setting that happens on install? Is that what it is?
Yep, exactly. So I was just going to go into that. So bring up the help
cool.
options here. Should be an install. Look for latest one. I know I put it in the documentation. I don't think it's in the help. So there's that regular switch, the RTPEngine URI. Well, at least on this dev box, which is probably just on the wrong branch, to be honest. It's going to be install dash RTPEngine dash URI equals, and you just specify it. This also will configure.
Okay. So so it'll be what? It'll be RTPEngine -RTPEngine when you like that's how you want to install, and then you can say equals, or you'll be able to put a what was the syntax again?
Yeah, let me just bring up the.
Okay, cool. Because I haven't seen it either, so I want to know how to do this.
I think that dev server just probably doesn't have this latest commit. Yeah, so if I go over to the CLI and then I go to RTPEngine-URI, this is the option right here. So it's on install. You can set that.
What does that say? It looks a little small to me. What does it say? RTPEngine, and it says.
Oh. Can zoom into my terminal. The install.
Oh, install URI. Got it. I got install -URI. Got you. I got you. So, all right, cool.
Give it the full URI, so like your protocol, and then IP or host name, and then the port, typically 7722 for the NG protocol. And there's an example. It's obviously set to the local host by default, and that's what we were already doing. Basically, if you give it a remote one, it will connect to that. It's not going to have the local process running at all. And if you, the other nice thing about this, if you do it's actually configure P, yeah, it's not going to be on this box apparently. We had a couple configure commands here. The latest one is configure RT, not on the box. I'm sorry. But
got it. That's all good. So I get it. So all right. So I can configure it as well. Got you. So this is a way for people to do external. Yeah. Oh, afterwards. Yeah. Post install. Got you. Yeah. Because sometimes, as we talk about, I think the normal flow for most people are that they install dSIPRouter, they start working with it in their lab, and then from there they kind of think like, how do I kind of scale this? Or they start using it outside of their lab, and then they're like, all right, we're growing, our business is growing, we need to like have a way to scale this, and then this configure RTP option that you have be a great way for them to be like, all right, I can just spin up another instance of RTPEngine on another server and then point that one to it. So no, that's cool. So I think that gives another another deployment pattern that we can talk about and do a video around as well, because I think people don't realize that, some of the things that we already have built into dSIPRouter will help them install RTPEngine on a different server, right? And so I think that's very cool. So very cool, man. Thank you, man. That's super dope.
Yeah, something we've been
but
working on, slowly as we've been moving forward, but isolating the
Yeah.
pieces so that they can be split out into microservices if needed, or just being remote and then scaled out. So this
Yeah.
kind of iterating on that, and some of these. So at the end for this release, Mac and I are doing a few UI updates, and then we're going to come back and look at some of the settings that we want to put into the UI system settings. That's not configurable in there yet. This one is going to get put in there as well, so you'll be able to change it through the UI.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we definitely got a lot of features we need to like make available inside the UI.
Yep.
Well, all right, well, good, man. This is what's up, man. So we're up on 30 minutes. I'll try to keep these pretty tight. So, like, anything you want people to know before we get out of here for this week?
No. So I just know that we're listening to your guys' issues. We literally took your feedback and create a list, and that's what we're working on for this release. That's what we do every time. We try to get as much feedback. If you guys have more feedback or issues or things that you want to bring to our attention, please let us know. Bring it to our attention. Email, give us a call, join the Slack, the community Slack. It's going to be in the show notes below, and just let us know so that we can get those prioritized. That's it.
Yeah. Well, good. All right. Now just put the Slack channel in the chat, and then we'll also put in the show notes. But that's it, man. So great, man. We will see everyone next week. You know what? I think I like the demo part. We got to come with a demo, like, at least once every month, or at least once every time. So I'm gonna shoot for doing a demo next time, man. So that's super dope. I think Tyler has set a precedent there. Yes, there. I love it. Yeah, I love it, and that's why I love it. So all right, take care, everyone. We will see you next week. Take care.
All right, see you guys.